As you may have heard, Warner Brothers Studio is up for sale. That's right, the centuries-old movie studio that created or is currently the rights holder for things like Looney Tunes, Casablanca, The Shining, The Wizard of Oz, My Fair Lady, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Barbie, DC Studios, the Harry Potter series, Hanna-Barbera, Tom and Jerry, and of course, Gremlins 2, The New Batch. And the way things are going, it looks like the winner of this fight is going to be Netflix. There are several reasons I'm nervous about this possible acquisition, but there's only one of them I want to talk about today. What is this going to mean for the movie theater experience? It's no secret that movie theater attendance has been in decline ever since the pandemic. A lot of people got used to watching movies at home and never went back. And Netflix, which is primarily a streaming service, is of course perfectly okay with this. Their CEO, Ted Sarandos, has repeatedly made comments that to me feel openly hostile towards movie theaters. He calls the model outdated. He says that most Americans can't walk to a movie theater. Well, no, Ted, but cars are a thing. He also says that he doesn't think screen size matters to the movie experience, and that his son watched Lawrence of Arabia on his phone. Personally, I think this speaks more of Ted's failures as a parent than anything else. The idea that screen size is irrelevant is brutally stupid. Yes, it's possible to watch a movie on a phone or a laptop. I have to watch movies on my laptop far more often than I'd like because my son, the sports fan, is fully engrossed in a women's lacrosse match between two colleges we've never heard of. But that in no way makes this the optimal environment for the movie-going experience. Especially not for something like Lawrence of Arabia, with its grand, sweeping vistas and beautiful cinematography. It'd be like going to the Grand Canyon and only looking at it through the wrong end of a pair of binoculars. Sitting in a dark theater with minimal distractions is the best way to get fully engrossed in a film. Not by watching it on your couch, phone in hand, ice maker emptying out in the kitchen, garbage trucks passing by, the sun coming in through the window, my son coming in through the window. Every second you're watching a movie at home, there are 1,000 things that can pull you out of the experience that don't happen in a movie theater. Second, even if the physical environment wasn't superior in a movie theater, the emotional environment certainly is. Simply put, movies are better as a shared experience. Comedies, first of all. The point of a comedy is to make you laugh. But laughter is viral, it's contagious, it spreads. If you watch a movie by yourself, you might chuckle. You watch it in a room with 100 other people, and their laughter activates something in your brain. It's like it gives you permission to laugh. And even something that would only elicit a mild chuckle at home turns into a gut-busting moment in a movie theater. And bustin' makes you feel good, Ted. Try it sometime. Horror movies. Horror movies are better with other people. Just like an audience in a comedy gives you permission to laugh, the audience in a horror movie gives you permission to scream, to jump, to shout. The point of a horror movie is to build tension, and tension puts out an emotional energy that is amplified by the presence of other people. Horror movies are built to be shared with an audience. Action movies, blockbusters, those massive IPs that Netflix no doubt wants to get their hands on, all better with an audience. Attack of the Clones, to be frank, is my least favorite Star Wars movie, but I will never forget the memory of sitting in that midnight screening, the first time that Yoda activates his lightsaber, and the way that the entire theater erupted. Everybody was cheering, I was cheering, and I never thought I would experience something like that again. Until Avengers Endgame. You know exactly what scene I'm talking about. It's that fight at the end. Thanos suddenly gets smashed in the face by Mjolnir. But you know, Thor didn't throw it. So who did? Camera cuts. The hammer lands in the hands of Captain America. It was the third time I saw the movie before I knew that Thor's next line was, "I knew it." I could never hear it over the cheers. Moments like that cannot be duplicated at home. Even bad movies are better in a theater. Green Lantern was set in the fictional city of Coast City, California, but a lot of it was filmed near where I live in the New Orleans area. And there were a lot of times in that movie where people around me busted out laughing, not because of anything that was happening in the movie, but because they were trying to pass off some relatively well-known New Orleans landmark as being in Southern California. If I had seen it at home, I probably would have smiled, but seeing it with other people, so much better. Even movies that you've already seen are better with an audience. A few years ago, my wife Erin and I went to see a screening of the movie Jaws, her favorite movie, one of the best movies ever made. We've seen it hundreds of times between us, but neither one of us had ever seen it in a movie theater before. It's the perfect movie. There's no way to make it better. Or so I thought. I've got Erin sitting on one side of me. On the other side, there's a kid. She's probably, I'm going to guess, about 12 years old. She's there with her father, and she's obviously never seen the movie before. She's also obviously very nervous about seeing it. And she's doing okay, too. She's a real trooper. Until we get to the scene where they find the wreckage of Ben Gardner's boat. And if you know Jaws, you know what happens next. That's right. They find Ben Gardner. The girl leaps out of her seat, lands in her father's lap, and stays there for the rest of the movie. It was incredible. How do you make the perfect movie even better? You watch it with an audience. And finally, movies are our memories. I remember going with my sister to see Trekkies in a theater full of Star Trek nerds and having the time of our lives. I remember the time my buddy Chase paid for the entire friend group to go with him to see Pokemon the first movie because he did not want to go alone. I remember countless movies that I watched with my friends and then stood in the parking lot afterwards recording our thoughts for a podcast. I remember the first movie that Erin and I ever saw together, which was Madagascar of all things. I remember taking her to see Skyfall and this little old couple sitting behind us, and the wife was constantly trying to explain the movie to her clearly deaf husband. He just kept saying, "Sky Mall?" You couldn't even be mad at him for talking because this is the kind of relationship I want someday. I proposed to her the next day. Erin, not the little old lady. And one of my favorite movies of all time is always going to be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And it's not because of anything that happens in the movie. It's because it's the first movie that I ever took this guy to see in the theater. I remember movies that I watched at home. I don't have a single memory as precious as those. Netflix has said that they're planning to do a 45-day release window before they bring movies to streaming, which I guess is at least better than the 17 days that they originally announced, but it still seems very short-sighted to me. Look at a movie like Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's been the #1 movie for like a month now. It's an aberration, of course. Most movies don't do that these days, but when you've got a movie that does, why would you want to cut its legs off? Look, I'm not saying that going to the movies is perfect. There's lots of problems with it. Jerks kicking your seat, jerks on their phones, concessions that cost more than the combined budget of the first 3 Hatchet movies. All of these are reasons that people stay away from theaters. But when you've got something good, you don't strangle it because it's got problems. You try to solve the problems. There have been plenty of times where I finished watching a movie at home and thought, man, that would have been better if I had seen it in the theater. There has never been a time I walked out of a theater and thought, man, that would have been better if I watched it at home. There have been times where I wished I hadn't seen the movie at all, but never thought it would be better at home. The first movie theaters were just vaudeville halls where they installed a screen. And you can add your IMAX projectors, your Dolby sound, your gourmet snacks, and your reclining seats. But that doesn't change the fact that we landed on the perfect way to watch movies from the very beginning. In a dark room, cut off from the world for a couple of hours, surrounded by people who want to have the same experience that you have. We don't want that to go away, Ted.